Hey guys, time for block, what are we on, block 7 for our all seasons quilt? 7th month? Yeah, 7. This week I had a really big sale for the 4th of July for my store, and I have been just like slammed busy. So that's why it's taken me so long to get that. So Peggy came up with this block here that we're going to do, and she will have the instructions in the files on the Facebook group. I will also try to drop box these into the descriptions below. I do want to note one mistake on the pattern. When you get to your blue fabric, you need, she has 2 by 2.5 inch squares. You need 2 rectangles of 2.5 by 6.5. So that was just a quick correction that I found when I was doing the pattern. So what you're going to need is red, white, and blue fabric. So from your white, you're going to cut 2 rectangles, 2.5 by 6.5, 8 squares, 2.5, 4 squares at 2 by 7/8 by 2 by 7/8. These are to make the half square triangles. I went ahead and cut mine at 3, and I'll just trim my half square triangles down. That just seems to work easier for me. Of your red, you're going to need 2 rectangles of 2.5 by 6.5, 2 squares at 2.5, and 4 of the 2 by 7/8 by 2 by 7/8. Again, those are for your half square triangles. I did them at 3 inches. And then your blue, 2 rectangles of 2.5 by 6.5 is the correct measurements that you're going to need. I tried it with 2.5 by inch squares, and it just wasn't going to work. So the first thing that we're going to do, let me bend you down here where you can see. That might be a little too far. Okay, hopefully that works. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is make our strip sets using the red, the blue, and the white. And in her pattern, she's got the red on top, the blue at the bottom, and then the white in the center. So pretty standard. Just, you know, so your blue to your white, and then your red to your white, and you'll have a strip set. So we'll just, I'm going to chain piece these, which is just, like I said, these will be really simple. And if I ain't mistaken, they should come out at 6.5 inch square. We'll see how good my sewing ability is. Okay, and then I'm just gonna, well, I said I was gonna chain piece these, but I was gonna do this first one just so you guys could see. And I'm just gonna finger press that open, and then the red is gonna go right there. So we'll just flip this over this way and sew down, like so. And then I'm going to finger press this over toward the red, and then I will iron this. So you will need 2 of these little strip sets. So I'll go ahead and get this other one done. All right, so I pressed these, got them all sewn together. Let me trim these threads here. And so you should have 2 of these strip sets. Just set these aside for now. We're going to work on the stars that go in the block. So the first thing we're going to do is make half square triangles. So take your 2 7/8 inch, if you cut them that way, or your 3 inch squares. You should have 4 white and 4 red. And we're going to make half square triangles. We need 8 half square triangles. So I drew a line on the back of my white fabric. You can fold it. If you got the diagonal seam tape, just use that. Whatever floats your boat on that. So we're just going to sew down both sides 1/4 inch away from that line. And I'm just going to do them like this. And then we'll get these others finished up. Okay, I've got them all sewn together, so we are going to cut them apart, and you're just going to cut right on the diagonal line that you drew, or corner to corner, like so, and we should get little half square triangles like this. And before I press mine open, I'm going to go ahead and square them up to 2.5. If you prefer to do them with them open, that's fine. However, whatever method you like to use to square them up. I'm using this Quilt in a Day square it ruler. It's a new one that they have out, and I've got the 2.5 right there. So it'll be really easy to just stick that line right on my stitch line. And you know, even cutting these squares at 3 inches to begin with, I'm not cutting off much by trimming these. This ruler allows me to go ahead and get these little dog ears so that when I open it up, everything's already cut off and I've got a perfect little half square triangle. So we'll trim another one up here. This is why I like to do my squares a little bit bigger, because I'd much rather prefer to trim down, because you know I'm not always consistent with my seam allowance, and so you know it's better than having to cut more fabric and whatnot. Anyway, and for me, because I don't know. You would think that as much as I've sewn and as many quilts as I've made, I'd be way more consistent, but I am not. I don't know if that's everybody or just me, but yeah. So I do things a little oversized that I can just trim them down. So the next thing we do is need to press these open, and I'm going to press them toward the red, and these are on the bias, so I usually like just to kind of finger press mine, roll it out, and then take my iron just so I don't stretch anything. Oops. And we'll need 8 of these. Okay, so we're getting ready to put our stars together. Now's the layout, so you'll need 4. You're doing 2 of these blocks, so you'll need 4 of your background squares. And there's one goes in each corner. Yeah, I'll just lay them like this here. Then you'll need your solid red one for the center. And basically, it's just a little tiny friendship star. If you've ever made those before, they're really easy to do. So this bottom, basically all your half square triangles are going to go in a circle. They're all going to point the same direction. So this will go up, but you do want your red touching your red. So if you turn it this way, it's wrong. All right, and that one there, and that one there. Hopefully you can see that. And so you're going to make 2 of these blocks right here. So you're just going to sew the pieces together and sew the rows together, and we'll have those little blocks done. So I brought my block up here to my sewing machine so that I can just flip these over onto themselves, and I'm going to sew the first 2 in all 3 rows chain pieced, and then I'll come in and add the last block. So just flip that over on that. Okay, and I'm going to leave them all connected, and I'll just open this one up and sew these right down. Oh, and get that thing to line up there. Sure didn't want to do it. And these are pretty tiny pieces, so you know, try to make your seam allowance as accurate as you can. When it comes to sewing tiny pieces together, if your seam allowance is crazy or not consistent or straight, it's definitely going to show. Don't ask me how I know. Okay, now we got to just sew the rows together. And you can, I'm going to finger press these. A lot of times I like to go ahead and press it with the iron. I just feel like I can get things to nest better, but these top 2 on the top row are going to go to the outside. These in the center are going to go to the inside. And that's kind of just the direction they want to go anyhow, so you have less seams with that. So, okay, flip this over, and messed up those seams. That one's nested. That one's nested. Just make sure everything is straight. Alright, and then do the same thing on this other side. I believe this is the tiniest little friendship star I've ever made. I've made several of them, but usually much bigger. I don't know, I'm not, like, for my own personal preference sewing, I'm not real big into tiny stuff. I know a lot of women love it, but the tiny pieces for me, it's just not my thing. I love the quilts made with them. And you know, the small pieces, you can get some really intricate blocks, but it's just not my thing. So, alright, I'm going to finger press these open. And there's our little friendship star, so you are going to need 2 of these blocks. Okay, so we'll press our little stars open here. Get them nice and flat. And I believe, like I said, they should measure 6.5 by 6.5 if you wanted to measure them. Now, I did mine going different directions. I did this one with the, I don't know, they look about the same to me. But I thought I put the half square triangles going opposite directions. Huh. I don't know. Anyway. So then we just lay our blocks out in a big 4-patch. And in the picture, she's got the red to the top and the red to the bottom. So your blues should meet there in the center. And we'll sew those together and we'll have our block. Alright, so let's get these sewn together. So I'm just going to chain piece these through. And mine seemed to be exact. I did not trim them down. But they fit perfectly, which is odd for me. Normally, I've got to trim something. Alrighty, and that one fits good. Go me, right? That doesn't happen often. Alright, and then we'll flip these open and put them together, making sure they were going the right direction. Because if you do need to rip out, now is the time before you get the whole block finished. Okay. And match these down here. So now we're going to press it, and I am going to, since I didn't press in between these 2 blocks, I am going to kind of do these on the, from the back side first, and then just so that they're laying flat when I flip it open. And then we'll roll this back. You can have a little bulk right there by the star point, but if you wanted to press your seams open, now would be a good time on a block like this. And this should measure 12.5 by 12.5 unfinished. Looks like I'm going to have to trim just a little bit, just a little shave right there on those. But there is our July block. Love it, love it, love it. I think that is so cute and very easy to make. A whole quilt like this, even in different colors, would be just cool. Really cool. So, alright. So there it is. Well, sorry it took me so long. Like I said, I've been just jammed up busy. And, yeah. So, hopefully, I don't know, hopefully not what. Just have a good day. Have a great month. I'll see y'all next month.